Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's news is absolutely jaw-dropping. Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars has been sentenced to life in prison. That's right. The reality TV icon known for his sharp deals and antique expertise is now at the center of a shocking legal scandal. How did it all go so wrong? We're breaking down the shocking downfall of a TV legend. And trust us, you do not want to miss this. Stick around, hit that like button, subscribe for updates, and let us know in the comments, did you ever see this coming? Richard Harrison, better known to millions as Rick Harrison, is more than just the sharp-tongued deal-maker from Pawn Stars. Born on March 22, 1965, in Lexington, North Carolina, Rick's road to fame was anything but easy. At just 2 years old, his family packed up and moved to San Diego, California, where he spent most of his childhood. But it wasn't your typical upbringing at age 8. Rick was diagnosed with epilepsy, forcing him to miss large chunks of school. While other kids were in class, Rick was at home devouring books, especially on history. Those quiet hours of self-education sparked a deep passion and armed him with a sharp mind that would later become one of his greatest business tools. Despite his health challenges, Rick didn't let setbacks define him. He dropped out of school in the 10th grade, but instead of giving up, he went all in on learning about business, negotiation, and historical artifacts. As a teenager, he joined his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, whom fans would come to know as the Old Man, in a series of business ventures. From a young age, Rick was hustling, learning to spot fakes from the real deal, and mastering the art of the sale. By 17, he wasn't just another dropout, he was already on his way to building an empire, one pawned item at a time. Before Pawn Stars turned him into a household name, Rick Harrison's life was already full of twists and turns. His girlfriend Kim became pregnant, and the two young lovers decided to get married. Together, they had 2 sons, Cory and Adam. But after 8 turbulent years, the marriage came to an end in 1981. Looking for a fresh start, Rick and his family relocated to the neon-drenched streets of Las Vegas, Nevada. It was there that his father opened a modest coin shop, just a small storefront with big dreams. By 1989, that little shop evolved into the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, the now legendary spot that would become the heart and soul of Pawn Stars. But the early days were anything but easy. Rick and his father battled shady customers, high-stakes deals, and moments that could have turned dangerous fast. Still, those challenges only sharpened Rick's instincts and deepened his reputation as a master of rare collectibles and historical treasures. If you think this origin story is jaw-dropping, don't keep it to yourself, share it with your friends. Let them in on the real story behind the man who turned pawn shop hustle into primetime gold. Rick Harrison always had an eye for opportunity, and when he realized just how wild and entertaining the pawn business could be, he knew it had TV gold written all over it. He pitched the idea of a reality show that would pull back the curtain on the day-to-day chaos of the gold and silver pawn shop. At first, nobody bit. Networks passed. Doors closed. But Rick, he didn't stop knocking. After years of relentless hustle, he finally struck a deal with the History Channel in 2009, and just like that, Pawn Stars was born. The show exploded onto the screen, giving viewers a front-row seat to high-stakes deals, quirky customers, and jaw-dropping historical artifacts. Starring Rick, his son Cory, Big Hoss Harrison, his legendary father, the Old Man, and fan favorite Austin Chumley Russell, the crew brought history to life with every negotiation. Whether it was a Revolutionary War sword or a vintage Coke machine, each item had a story, and Rick knew how to tell it. With his straight shooting style, razor-sharp instincts, and encyclopedic knowledge, Rick quickly became a breakout star. And of course, his now iconic catchphrase, "The best I can do," is turned into a national punchline. Pawn Stars wasn't just a hit show, it was a cultural phenomenon. And Rick Harrison was suddenly more than just a pawnbroker, he was a television legend. Every time Rick leaned in with that signature line, "The best I can do," you knew something big was about to happen. But Pawn Stars was more than just gripping TV drama, it was sneakily educational too. Each episode took viewers on a crash course through history, offering fascinating facts and backstories behind the rare artifacts and oddball items that came through the door. That perfect mix of entertainment and learning made the show a hit across generations. Kids, parents, even grandparents tuned in together. Under Rick's sharp leadership, the gold and silver pawn shop became more than just a business. It became a landmark. Fans from around the world made the trip to Las Vegas just to step inside the shop they'd seen on screen, hoping to catch a live negotiation or even make a cameo themselves. The surge in popularity sent revenues skyrocketing, opening the door to a wave of new ventures, branded merchandise, best-selling books, and even themed restaurants. Rick Harrison wasn't just a TV star, he became a bona fide business mogul. From major talk shows to magazine covers and speaking gigs at big-name events, his face and voice became as iconic as the shop's neon sign. His rise from local pawnbroker to global entrepreneur is the stuff of modern American legend, and he did it all with street smarts, hustle, and that unforgettable catchphrase. Rick Harrison didn't just build a business, he built a legacy. Known for his razor-sharp instincts and no-nonsense leadership, Rick quickly became the steady hand behind Pawn Stars. While his son Cory often made snap decisions and Chumley brought comic chaos, Rick was the anchor, calm, strategic, and always in control. But behind that cool demeanor is a man who overcame serious odds. Diagnosed with epilepsy as a child, Rick was forced to drop out of school. Yet instead of letting that define him, he turned it into fuel, rising up to become one of America's most recognizable entrepreneurs and TV personalities. At the heart of Rick's journey was his bond with his father, Richard "Old Man" Harrison. Their relationship wasn't just blood, it was built brick by brick, deal by deal. Together, they laid the foundation for the gold and silver pawn shop, guided by principles of honesty, sharp judgment, and mutual respect. The chemistry between them lit up the screen, but behind the scenes, it was even deeper, a genuine partnership that shaped the soul of the show. When Old Man passed away in 2018, it wasn't just a personal loss for Rick, it was the end of an era. But Rick didn't fold. He doubled down, running the shop with the same integrity and grit his father had taught him. Through every episode, every tough negotiation, Rick keeps that legacy alive. Pawn Stars may continue to evolve, but make no mistake, Rick Harrison is, and always will be, the beating heart of the empire he helped build. Rick Harrison may be a master negotiator on screen, but behind the scenes, his personal life has been a roller coaster of love, heartbreak, and new beginnings. After his first marriage ended, Rick found lasting companionship with Tracy Harrison, and the two shared 27 years together before calling it quits in 2011. But love wasn't done with Rick yet. Just 2 years later, he tied the knot with Deanna Bird in a one-of-a-kind Vegas ceremony officiated by none other than Counting Cars star Danny Coker, with Chumley hilariously stepping in as the ring bearer. Though Rick keeps his personal life mostly under wraps, the rare glimpses he gives into his world show a different side of the tough-talking pawnbroker, a devoted husband, a proud father, and a man fiercely loyal to those he loves. Whether he's talking about his kids on the shop floor or trying to carve out moments of peace between TV shoots and business meetings, Rick is constantly juggling fame, work, and family. And through it all, he proves that behind the fame and fortune is a man who values what truly matters most. Rick Harrison didn't just stop at Pawn Stars, he built an empire. Never one to sit still, Rick expanded his brand beyond the pawn counter and into the world of food and hospitality by launching Rick's Rollin' Smoke BBQ and tavern right next to the legendary gold and silver pawn shop. The joint became a hotspot for fans and foodies alike, offering the perfect mix of smoked meats and star power. And in 2011, Rick gave fans a deeper look into his world with the release of his best-selling memoir, licensed to Pawn, Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver, spilling behind the scenes, secrets and charting his rise from school dropout to self-made mogul. A true hustler with a deep love for history, Rick's skill in appraising rare and valuable items has been on full display across thousands of Pawn Stars episodes. From Civil War rifles and classic cars to rare shipwreck treasure, Rick has seen and bought it all. One of his most jaw-dropping deals? Snagging a 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl ring for just $1,600, a steal that was later appraised for much more. Another? A glittering haul of Spanish gold coins pulled from a 1715 shipwreck, showcasing Rick's love of artifacts with a story. But success hasn't come without turbulence. In 2023, Rick made headlines for all the wrong reasons when he unexpectedly became the target of a federal investigation. Fans were stunned as agents from the FBI, IRS, and even the Department of Cultural Heritage zeroed in on the Pawn Stars frontman. The man who made a career out of uncovering secrets suddenly found himself at the center of one. Yet, through it all, Rick Harrison remains a symbol of hustle, legacy, and the American dream, unfiltered and unbreakable. It was a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller: sirens, agents, and a storm of flashing lights. Rick Harrison's quiet Las Vegas morning was shattered when federal agents, including members of the Secret Service, launched a full-scale raid on both his home and the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop. Witnesses at the scene described chaos as employees and customers were detained, while agents swept through the store, seizing computers, documents, and a number of valuable artifacts. The operation was massive, and it was personal. Rick's son, Cory Harrison, was on site and later admitted that everything happened so fast, it felt like a dream, or more accurately, a nightmare. And when footage hit social media of Rick being calmly escorted out of his home by federal agents, it lit the internet on fire. Speculation ran wild. As details emerged, the story only grew darker. Authorities revealed they were investigating Rick for possible involvement in an elaborate tax evasion scheme, suspected money laundering, and the sale of potentially illegal historical artifacts. The investigation was triggered by flagged financial transactions and complaints from former business partners who claimed something wasn't right behind the scenes. But amid the chaos and controversy, Rick stood firm. With his signature cool-headed resolve, he continued to operate the business while awaiting the next move from federal investigators. Love him or hate him, one thing's for sure, Rick Harrison isn't just a reality TV star. He's a man who turned adversity into empire, and whether he's facing a tough negotiation or a federal probe, he's not backing down. From a sickly kid with a love of books to the mastermind behind Pawn Stars, Rick's story is as compelling and controversial as ever. Rick Harrison's journey has always been one of grit, hustle, and fearless adaptability, and the latest chapter in his saga is no different. In the wake of the explosive federal raid, the fallout was swift. The History Channel hit pause on production of Pawn Stars, releasing a carefully worded statement that they were closely monitoring the situation and would make future decisions once more facts came to light. Fans were stunned. The show that had become a staple of reality TV suddenly found itself in limbo. Meanwhile, the iconic gold and silver pawn shop kept its doors open, but the atmosphere had shifted. Once buzzing with tourists and fans from around the globe, the foot traffic slowed dramatically as rumors swirled and headlines piled up. Rick, known for keeping his cool, even in the tensest negotiations, now found himself in the hottest spotlight of his life. But Rick wasn't about to roll over. His legal team moved fast, with his high-powered Las Vegas attorney David Marshall, no stranger to high-profile cases, firmly denying any wrongdoing. "This is nothing more than a misunderstanding," Marshall declared. Rick Harrison has always conducted his business with transparency, integrity, and full compliance with the law. As the investigation into Rick Harrison deepened, the revelations grew darker and more damning. Authorities claimed they had uncovered hard evidence linking Rick to a highly sophisticated scheme. According to prosecutors, Rick had allegedly been undervaluing rare historical artifacts on paper to dodge taxes, only to resell them in private deals for their full market value. The strategy: brilliant if legal, criminal if proven true. But it didn't stop there. Investigators accused Rick of knowingly purchasing stolen artifacts through shadowy intermediaries, items that allegedly included priceless historical documents and relics lifted from museums and private collections. The smoking gun came from a shocking source, a former employee who stepped out of the shadows to testify. This insider claimed they had helped acquire several of the items in question and exposed the existence of a hidden accounting system, a secret ledger Rick allegedly used to keep sensitive transactions off the books. The case exploded when Rick was arrested in dramatic fashion. Though he was released on bail the very next day, the charges were serious and the stakes sky high. Tax evasion, money laundering, trafficking in stolen property, conspiracy. It was a stunning turn for a man once seen as the straight-shooting, no-nonsense heart of Pawn Stars. Now Rick Harrison wasn't negotiating a deal, he was fighting for his reputation, his business, and possibly his freedom. While attorney David Marshall maintained Rick Harrison's innocence, the prosecution wasn't backing down. The trial stretched on for nearly a year, and the pressure kept mounting. At first, Rick denied everything, but things took a turn when former employees began testifying against him. Prosecutors presented financial records, encrypted emails, and insider accounts claiming Rick ordered records to be altered and large transactions to be hidden. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was a series of messages between Rick and an unnamed supplier, allegedly discussing how to erase the origin of an 18th century document believed to have been stolen from a university archive. In another exchange, Rick was reportedly arranging payments in a way that would avoid detection by federal authorities. Despite the avalanche of allegations, Rick held his ground. Appearing on several conservative talk shows, he claimed he was the target of a smear campaign meant to ruin his name and bring down Pawn Stars. "This is bigger than me," he said. "It's about destroying what we built." As Rick Harrison's trial neared its end, a wave of public support surged across the country. Hashtags like Free Rick and Hands Off History trended online, while passionate fans gathered outside the courthouse holding signs and demanding justice. For many, Rick wasn't just a businessman, he was a TV icon who made history come alive. The thought of him facing serious prison time felt surreal. When the verdict was read, the courtroom fell into stunned silence. Rick, who had remained stoic throughout the proceedings, turned visibly pale. Behind him, his son Cory buried his face in his hands while Chumley rushed out of the room, overcome with emotion. The sentence shocked legal analysts, some of whom argued it was overly severe. But the judge was clear. This punishment wasn't just about financial crimes. It was about the irreversible damage to cultural heritage. Even as the scandal rocked headlines, Rick's most loyal fans refused to turn their backs. Social media lit up with posts like, "Rick taught me more about history than any teacher ever did." To them, Pawn Stars was more than entertainment. It was a bridge to the past. Rick Harrison's legal team wasted no time. They filed an appeal against the verdict, claiming that the sentence was too harsh and violated his civil rights, especially given the nonviolent nature of the charges. They also pushed for Rick to be released on bail while the appeal took place. But the judge was unmoved. Bail was denied. And as Rick was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, head bowed, the moment was captured on camera and instantly went viral, making headlines and sending social media into a frenzy. The public reaction was swift and deeply divided. Rick's longtime fans were critical, insisting that something was wrong. To them, he wasn't a criminal. He was a scapegoat, caught in the crosshairs of a system desperate to make an example of a celebrity. They believe Rick has become a scapegoat for deeper problems in the underground artifact trade. But historians and cultural preservationists have welcomed the outcome, calling it a landmark moment in the fight against the illegal trade in historical treasures. Despite the verdict, Rick's supporters launched a Hearts for Harrison campaign, collecting more than 100,000 signatures calling for an official review of the case. One fan put it bluntly, "We're not saying Rick was perfect, but this isn't justice. This is revenge." Melissa Jenkins, the organizer of the Hearts for Harrison campaign, was undeterred. She said in a video that went viral that a life sentence for a nonviolent crime was unjust. "We urge everyone to sign the petition and donate to Rick's legal fund. Every prayer, every message of support, every small donation can help him have a fair chance at an appeal." Her words touched the hearts of supporters across the country. Rick's son, Cory Harrison, also spoke, his voice filled with emotion. "My dad may have made mistakes, but he didn't deserve to die in prison. He deserves a chance to make things right." Meanwhile, the History Channel acted quickly. The network officially severed ties with Rick, canceled Pawn Stars, and pulled all reruns from its schedule. In a public statement, the channel expressed deep disappointment at Rick's actions and reaffirmed its commitment to preserving and respecting cultural heritage. In an instant, one of America's most iconic reality TV shows and the man who brought it to life disappeared from our screens. Rick Harrison is more than just a reality TV icon. He's also a savvy businessman who turned a humble pawn shop into a multi-million-dollar empire. But after the scandal broke, everything changed. While traffic to gold and silver pawn shop has slowed, it never stopped. Tourists still line up in Las Vegas, curious to see the place where history and controversy were made. Determined to rebuild his family's name, Cory Harrison has made strides. He has launched a mission to restore public trust, increase transparency and ethics. Under his leadership, the shop has begun partnering with museums and educational institutions to promote responsible collecting. Every transaction is now carefully documented, and every artifact is verified. In an honest and emotional interview 6 months after Rick's conviction, Cory opened up about his uphill battle. Keeping the business running while facing public backlash and internal scrutiny is not easy. "We have implemented rigorous verification processes for every transaction," he said. What happened was a mistake, but we are committed to being part of the solution, not the problem. With his father's legacy at stake, Cory is not only trying to keep the doors open, but fighting to write a new chapter. One built on integrity, education, and redemption. Austin Chumley Russell, who always saw Rick Harrison as a father figure and mentor, spoke out with a heavy heart. In a candid podcast interview, he reflected on their relationship with a mix of gratitude and heartbreak. "I've learned so much from Rick's solid business values and life lessons I'll carry forever," Chumley said. "But I also have to admit there was a side of him I didn't see, or maybe I didn't want to see." For the Harrison family, the road ahead is all about redemption. Their focus now is supporting Rick through the appeals process while fighting to rebuild their name and protect the legacy of the gold and silver pawn shop. Cory Harrison's rise to leadership caught many by surprise. Known on Pawn Stars for his impulsive moves and playful clashes with his dad, no one expected him to step into such a serious role. But with sharp instincts and real business savvy, Cory has proven he's more than ready to lead the family through its darkest chapter. The fans, he says, have been their lifeline. "The encouragement from people around the world has been a huge source of strength for my dad," Cory shared in a recent press statement. He reads every letter. "Every word reminds us that even in the middle of controversy, people still believe not just in the shop, but in the man behind it." During this tumultuous time for the Harrison family, unity and hope have become central. Every Sunday, they gather outside Gold and Silver Pawn Shop for heartfelt prayers, along with loyal fans who don't want Rick's legacy to be tarnished. For those who can't make it to Las Vegas, the family is asking supporters to send letters, cards, and even Pawn Stars memorabilia, anything that might lift Rick's spirits during what they describe as the darkest chapter of his life. Small gestures like that mean a lot to someone who has lost so much, Cory said, his voice heavy with emotion. Despite the enormous challenges, Cory remains optimistic. He took the helm of the family business with one mission in mind: to preserve what his father built. "My dad taught me everything I know about this business," he said. "The values he instilled, real, honest values, are what I'm building on. Yes, we made mistakes, but this store has been a part of Las Vegas for over 30 years. I'm determined to keep it for another 30. Rick Harrison's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary, from small-time real estate broker to reality TV mogul to a man now facing life behind bars. It's a stunning fall from grace, a reminder of how reputations can change in the blink of an eye. His story is no longer just about pawning gold and silver. It's become a story of redemption, legacy, and the devastating cost of living in the spotlight. Rick Harrison's downfall has been compared by commentators to a modern-day Shakespearean tragedy, a man who once revered history, only to be destroyed by the very artifacts he cherished. His vast knowledge, once his greatest asset, may have become his own undoing. Today, Rick's story is a cautionary tale about the thin, often blurred line between brilliant business moves and criminal mistakes, and the temptations that come with fame and fortune. The ripple effects of Rick's downfall have rocked the reality television world and left his once thriving family business in limbo. With its charismatic leader behind bars, the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop is facing its greatest challenge yet. In this dark hour, Rick needs all the support he can get. If Pawn Stars has ever brought you joy or sparked your interest in history, now is the time to give back. Send your positive thoughts, prayers, or a simple message of encouragement. The Harrison family has launched a dedicated website where fans can share words of encouragement messages that are relayed directly to Rick in prison. According to Cory and the family, these heartfelt notes have been a lifeline, bringing light to Rick during his darkest days. The website also provides mailing addresses and cards, each a reminder that Rick is not forgotten. As the family shared in a recent statement, Rick has always appreciated the Pawn Stars audience, and your support means more now than ever. His journey has taken a shocking turn, rewriting the story of one of the biggest names in reality TV. But this is not the end, it's a new chapter. Whether Rick clears his name and stages a comeback or passes the torch entirely to Cory remains to be seen. One thing is for sure, Pawn Stars has left its mark on millions of people, and the Rick Harrison story isn't over yet. Stay tuned, we'll be following every development in this extraordinary story.